In today's video, I'm going to share with you the most common questions on college scholarship applications and how to best answer them so your student is set up for success with their scholarship application. As a reminder, please have your student complete their own college scholarship application. You're there to be a support system, help them and provide them tips, but they need to be completing the application on their own. A little background about me before I begin. I've worked at colleges and universities for over 12 years. My roles have spanned from working in residence life, so supporting students living on campus, working at the scholarship side of financial aid, and working behind the scenes with donors to create and maintain scholarships for our students. I have reviewed thousands of scholarship applications in my time working within these roles, and I'm here to provide you with all the tips I can for you and your student to be successful. Now, the questions I'm going to share with you today are typical questions you'll usually see on applications, though they may be worded differently or be some variation of this question. But regardless, learning how to complete the answers to these questions is going to set up your student for success. So this first question number 1, is a two-parter. What are your educational and career goals? Why do you want to complete this major or this career path? Now, this is an area for your student to really showcase their passion for their major and their future career path. They can provide details about why they chose this major or when they specifically realized they wanted to have this type of career or work in this sort of field that their major would set them up for. It's all about storytelling and providing those details. Your student can also add information about why they chose that specific college, whether that is because of the location, because of something about the program, prestigious alumni, whether it's close to home or it's further away from home. Whatever really drew them into choosing the institution, their major, and their future career. Now, really, it's about telling a story. So for an example, if your student is majoring in pre-vet, so they want to be a veterinarian, they can talk about the first time they realized they wanted to work on helping animals and become a veterinarian. Then they could go on to say what they like about potentially being a veterinarian. Then maybe add in some information about why they chose the college, why they chose a specific major at this college, whether that's for the location or something that the program offers. That way they are fully giving the reviewer, who's going to be reviewing their application, all the details. Now, as an application reviewer, we only get the information that is on the application. So your student needs to share those details, provide why they want to do these things, and really just showcase the passion behind it. Only they can show the passion. I can't tell you exactly what that passion is or all the details, but I can tell you this is an area where your student needs to write at least a paragraph. Depending on the application, there will be a word or character count, but they need to not write 1 or 2 sentences. I don't want them to write, I want to be a veterinarian because I want to help animals. I realized I want to be a veterinarian when I started watching Doc McStuffins on Disney Channel. Cool beans, dude. That's not a significant answer. Now, that could be part of the answer, but expanding on those details. Your student can talk about that they've always loved animals since the first time they got a family dog, and they realized that animals, just like people, need help and need health care. They could talk about from watching TV shows that inspiration it gave them. They need to show those extra details and provide that information because the reviewer only has what is written on the app. Now, if your student is coming back to college after an educational break, they can add in some of those details as well about why they took that break, what was the reason for it, and why they decided to come back. Were they taking a break because they needed to find themselves? They needed to have some health things addressed? Did they need to work to be able to afford college? That just adds to the details of the passion of showing your student overcoming a situation of why they took a break and how they made their way back to coming to college. So that extra detail could really help upgrade the application in the eyes of the reviewer. Now, extra bonus, what if your student is undeclared? They don't know what major they're gonna do. They don't know what career they want. I want your student to answer this completely 100% authentic. I want them to say they don't know what they want to do. They're not sure what they want to major in. They can add in some ideas they may have. Maybe they are deciding between they want to be a kindergarten teacher or they want to be a journalist. They can add in potential majors that they're thinking about doing or potential career paths. They also can mention the resources on campus they're going to utilize to help them find their career path and their future major. Are they going to talk with the advising office? Are they going to join different clubs to explore their passions? Are they going to go talk to actual faculty to learn about the major and career path? Are they going to events where alumni are there so they can learn from people in the actual field to see if it's something they'd be interested in? Showcase what they're gonna do about the issue that they don't know what they want to do yet. So question number 2, what campus activities have you been involved in the last 4 years? Now this is an area where I want your student to explain all the things that they have been involved in, whether that is at high school, whether that's at college, whatever has been their latest education, their latest school, that is what they're going to focus on. Now they should, for each item, everything they've done, provide a quick overview of what the item is, provide the years or the length of time they were involved in the activity. They should also then provide the responsibilities of the activity, and finally provide what they learned from it. So let's go through an example together. So in this example, if I was answering this question as a high school senior who's applying for scholarships for my freshman year of college, and let's say I was on the swim team, here is how I would answer this question to talk about my swim team experience. Now, my best tip with it is to use bullet points because that makes it clearer for the reviewer versus using paragraphs. So bullet point number 1 would be swim team member. Bullet point number 2 has the years I was involved, so 2005, 2007, 3 years. Do the math for the reviewers, it makes it a lot easier. I explained in this that I was a junior swim team member from spring 2005 to spring 2006. I was a varsity swim team captain for spring 2007. And then I talk about my responsibilities, assisted in organizing 4-person teams for relay racing, led team bonding experiences, mentored first-year teammates, and held one-on-one skill lessons with first-year teammates. Then I go on to tell about what I learned. I learned how to support teammates one-on-one by meeting them where they are in their skill development and creating training plans to help them grow. Now, from a reviewer standpoint, what's great about this answer is that you told me what you were involved with, how long you were involved with it. You explained if there was any differences in that journey. So in this, it was being a junior team member to being a captain, explaining what the responsibilities were within that position, and then what you learned from the position. That, as a reviewer, shows me that you have really thought out about your involvement. It's not, yeah, I was a member of the swim team for 3 years. It's, I was a member of the swim team. Here's what I actually did with the swim team, and here's what I learned from the swim team. And you could also, if your student wanted to be extra, connect that back into how it will help them in college. That's a bonus point. It's not needed, but it's extra thing if they're able to connect it back to what they learned to their college journey and how it's going to help them. Chef's kiss. That'll be even more amazing. Now let's go through a second example. For this example, we're going to talk about if I was a high school senior applying again to be a freshman in college who's on the cheerleading team but had no leadership experience. So this is first bullet point, varsity cheer team. Second bullet point, 2005, 2007, 2 years. Spell out the years, do the math for them. Responsibilities, supported the varsity football and basketball teams at home and away games, led spirit rallies to promote school spirit prior to games, participated in voluntary skills workshops at the summer breaks for self-growth. Next and last bullet point is what I learned. I learned how to challenge myself to learn new skills to become the athlete I want to be. I learned that a positive mindset can help yourself and others stay mentally strong during challenging situations and help you overcome them. Now, your student doesn't just need leadership experience to really highlight what they were involved in. That extraness of showing what they learned is the most important piece. So in both these examples, we are driving home what your student did, the length of time, what the responsibilities of it was, which that is very important because not every reviewer is going to know what it includes to be on the swim team, to be on the cheer team. In here, if you have any acronyms, always spell them out. Not everyone's going to know what FFA is. Future Farmers of America. I know it from my high school, and I had friends who were in it. I wasn't personally in it, but I knew it because of their experiences. But you could have a reviewer who has no idea what FFA is. And so always explain out those acronyms. And then always tie it in at the end to what your student learned from that position, from that experience. And then that bonus, if they can tie what they learned into how that's gonna help them at college or help them continue on their college journey, that's always an added extra. That's amazing. Now, let's say your student is super involved and they reach the character limit on this question. What I want you to do then is to sit down and go through the answers and only include what is either the things that they have been in the longest, so we're showing the commitment to those activities, or which ones they're able to best articulate their responsibilities from the position and what they learned. I'm harping back on it, but what they learn is more important than anything else because that's self-reflection, that's self-growth. We're going to circle back in a minute to how to answer this question if your student was not involved in school activities. So question number 3, what community involvement or volunteer positions have you been involved in the last 4 years? Now, this is just like the school activities question. We are going to use bullet points. We are going to just have the title of the activity. We're going to have the length of time. We're going to explain the responsibilities, and then we're going to explain what we learned. Now, if you don't have a ton of volunteerism or community event involvement, that is okay, but make sure to articulate what you did do and what you learned. You can also expand in the section of how you got involved in the activity. So for example, if your student was involved in Girl Scouts, how did they get involved with Girl Scouts? Did you as a parent sign them up to make friends? And then from there, they learned about the organization and decided that they could learn tons of new things while hanging out with their friends? They can add in those extra details to beef up that area on their application. Now with volunteerism and community events, it's really important for your student to be expanding on the what they learn section, but also adding in how that makes them a better person, how that makes them view the community, view different populations, or things specific to how they are a better member of society because they did this activity. So now, how to answer the question if your student has not been involved with school activities or not been involved with community activities. Please, please, please do not allow them to write NA, to not allow them to write not applicable, or no, I was not involved. Those are not acceptable answers. They need to provide something. Not providing an answer or providing a very short answer is a very quick way for students to show a reviewer that they're not taking the application seriously and not putting that effort in to answer the question. Lack of details is going to harm your students' chances. As I've talked about in the previous questions, details, details, details. What did they learn? Why? What did they do? We want the details because remember, the reviewer only knows what is on the application. They can't ask your student follow-up questions. They can't talk with your student. Most of the time, they're only going to know what is on that paper. So it's important for the details to be there. Now, if your student's not been involved, this section is very important for your student to be vulnerable, to talk about why they were not involved. Now, some examples of why they were not involved. Were they working to be able to afford school or afford basic necessities? Did they have to take care of a loved one, babysit a sibling after school? Do they have severe anxiety or health issues? Have they been going through bullying? Did an injury happen that prevented them from continuing to do the activities that they used to do and that they loved? Your student needs to still tell a story. Provide those details, provide those information. Your student could expand it of what they would have liked to be involved with if situations were different, but really focus on that vulnerability of, I was unable to do it because of XYZ. Now, sometimes depending on where you live, it could also be that the school or the community doesn't have a lot of things for your student to get involved with. And they can mention that as well, but make sure that they're adding those details. It shouldn't just be, well, my town doesn't do community events, or there's nothing at school that interests me. Talk about why. Talk about things that do interest them, what they would want to do, what they're looking forward to get involved with when they're at college. Details, details, details. They need to at least write a paragraph providing the reason why they were not involved. So question 4, describe how a scholarship will benefit you. There's almost always some version of this question on scholarship applications, and the answer should never be, it's going to benefit me financially. The reviewer knows that. We know it is money. Scholarships are money. They are going to be used to pay for your students' tuition and fees or other expenses related to their college experience. We get it. It's money. Your student needs to expand on how it will help them. Is this going to allow them to work less hours while going to school or work less hours over breaks so that they can prepare for classes? Is your student going to be able to spend more time studying and doing their assignments because they're not going to have to work? Is this going to allow your student to have less stress because maybe they have high anxiety, maybe they have some different learning disabilities, and by having the money situation taken care of, they can now put their focus on taking care of themselves and using their resources to be able to overcome their learning difficulties and do their classwork, do their assignments, and pass those classes? Are they providing for others? Are you in a family situation where your student is helping to work to provide for household necessities for you as a family? Are they taking care of a sibling? Are they taking care of their own children? Do they have multiple children and a full-time job that they're doing plus school? They need to explain the situation. This is a situation where students might feel like they are going to hold that information a little closer to the chest. Maybe it feels too personable. And yes, this is a personable answer that reviewers are going to read. But let me tell you, as reviewers, we're not going to go share your answers with anybody because we don't know you. We might say, oh my gosh, this was such a sweet story. That's never going to get tied back to you. It's never going to specifically be, oh, Johnny, your story that you told about how you worked 2 jobs by going to school and you cared for elderly grandparents at the same time. No one's ever going to come up and tell your details to people or talk to you and run into you in public. It is personable. It might feel a bit confidential, but as a reviewer, this is really humanizing you. It's showing us that you have thought through how receiving a scholarship is going to help your overall experience, whether that is with being a college student, reducing stress from affording things, helping you and your family. It shows that you've put a lot of time, thought, and effort into your application and into your overall situation. That personal inter-reflection goes a long way with scholarship reviewers. So question number 5 may be worded a few different ways. It could be worded, what challenges have you overcame? Or tell us about a time that you faced a challenge and how you overcame it. Now, this is also another vulnerable question. This is not a fluff question where you just say, yeah, I overcame not having money to pay for school because I wasn't working and now I am. We want your student to provide 1 or 2 challenges and how they overcame them. How did they get to the other side of how they're dealing with it? How did they come to the solution? Are they still working through the process? Really having 1 or 2 things to focus on is going to provide those details for the reviewers. So let's talk about how you could lay this out. So an easy way to make an outline for this question is, I have overcome problem X, so whatever the thing is. Explain the issue and why it is an issue. Next, explain the struggle. So expanding on why it's an issue, how it's affecting everyday life, how it affected your student in that moment, or affected other aspects of their life because of it. Explain how they worked through it. Were they getting help from family, school, loved ones, medical professionals? Did they have to find the inner strength? Did they have some reflection? Did music, a book, self-reflection really lift them up to come through this? Did some medical procedure have to happen to help them overcome it? Whatever it was that helped them through their journey. And now, finally, talk about it on the other side. Now that they have overcome that challenge, that experience, how they are. That can be a reflection on it. It could be how it's affected them long term. It could be how they now take information or pieces from that experience into their everyday life and how that affects different things or helps motivate them to do different things. Really, we're showcasing that overarching arc of here's the issue, here's why it's an issue, to here's how I overcome it, and here's how I am now. It's all about being vulnerable. It's about providing those details. If your student gets stuck with working on the answer to this question, don't be afraid to write down some ideas for them. Remember, don't answer the question for them, but also have them look at this layout and they can just answer the short questions and then from there build their paragraph or 2 and build upon the answer. All right, so question number 6, our final question for today, of why did you decide to attend this college? Now, this is a very broad question. It kind of ties back into question number 1 about why you chose your major or future career path, but some schools like to know why us. Why did you choose us? And this is where your student is able to highlight specifically why they chose that campus. Did they choose it because specifically a major or a program they had has great faculty or great alumni? Were they involved in a program that took them on a tour or a summer trip to the college and they were super impressed or felt connected to it? Are they loving that it is close to home or not so close to home? Are they loving the weather? Are they loving the beauty of the campus? Do they love the resources that the campus provides? Do they feel connected to their background, ethnicity, or identities through what the campus offers? Maybe it's through clubs, maybe it's through sports, maybe it's through resource and identity centers. What makes them feel connected to the campus and why they chose this college over another college? Really, in this answer, you're keeping it wholesome. It does not have to be as deep as the last 2 questions we went over, but really provide something. It should not be, yeah, I wanted to come to this school because it's a great party school, or yeah, I just wanted to come here because I got invited to be on the soccer team. It needs to provide those little extras of why did they choose this? Because really, when your student's choosing a college, they're choosing to be there for 2, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on when they're coming into school. It's a big commitment. That's a lot of years of your life. So why did they choose that area? And it's okay if it's because their friends who are their support system chose to go there. So they decided to go there because also the major they want is offered there. That's okay. Then they need to expand upon why their friends are their support system and how that is important to them and their mental health and their ability to be successful. Just expanding on those answers. That was the top 6 most common questions that will be on a college scholarship application. Now, these are mostly questions I saw on applications that are specific to colleges, but also sometimes private scholarships from different companies or organizations will use these questions as well. As I've mentioned in previous videos, anytime your student is working on prepping for a scholarship application, they should prep their answers to these questions in a Word doc or a Google Doc, and then save that to some cloud-based server, whether that is iCloud or Google Drive. This is going to set them up for success because then next year, when they go to complete their application, because especially for college, they need to complete their college scholarship application every year, they can just take their previous answers, edit and finesse them, and they already have the information for their application. They're not starting from square one with the questions again. 99% of the time, colleges do not change the questions that are on their applications. They may tweak them slightly, but they're not reinventing the questions every year. So your student can save those answers, just edit and build upon them every year as they have new experiences and new things that they could use as examples, and save themselves time, stress, and worry. So if you like this content, please subscribe and like the video below. If you'd like to see more content, please subscribe to my channel. Every Monday, I provide videos all about college, whether that's scholarships, dorm life, RA, or student employment. On Friday, I provide videos that are more towards my life, having 2 littles. I have a 2 and 7-year-old, and giving you parenting tips and tricks, products that have worked for us, as well as cleaning motivation. If you like short-term content, feel free to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post on there every single day. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer your questions there, but I might also answer them in a future video so we can share them information with everybody. If you have any tips and tricks of your own or questions that you have seen on scholarship applications or tips for other parents to help them support their student, please add them to the comments below. Let's be a resource for everyone together. Alrighty, y'all. I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.